Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to begin by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakai Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopefully elect. Right, so this is a quick uh, in the news sort of video. Not huge, big news, but news nonetheless. Right, as we're supposed to be, as you know, on the watchtower, just watching the world, watching prophecies unfold, seeing how things go. Right. So this is the New York Times, right? And according to what I've been reading, right, it's been in the works over the last year or so, right? But it says the U.S. formally withdraws from World Health Organization, right? And we'll do this. Just to give you a quick overview as to what it is, right? It says the World Health Organization is the United Nations specialized agency for global health, established in 1948 to direct and coordinate international health efforts, aiming to ensure the highest possible health level for all people. Right. So again, we know that this is basically covering, right, the all the nations, essentially, right? But America decided that they wanted to withdraw, right? Now you can see, right, it says the global health experts worry that a lack of international coordination will lead to death and disaster, which we know through the scriptures, through the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, right, that death and disaster is, one of the things that have to come to this place, right? Now, whether that be through, regular sickness or a sickness that will come, from the MOTB, right? Let's get that quick prophecy. This is Revelation 16 and start at 1. Alright, it says, "And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth." Right? So he's telling them to do what? Carry out their judgments. Right? Verse 2, it says, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." Right? What is the mark of the beast? You really should know by now. But the mark of the beast is, and can I move? I can't. See if I can make another tab. There we go. It's this right here. This thing right here. This is the mark of the beast, right? It's that seal, the RFID seal, right? So, get some images on it. So when you see this, which we already know it's already been implemented, but when you see this, run, because again, I was going to read it, but I showed you what it was, right? So again, verse 2 of Revelation 16, it says what? "And there first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image, right? So you if you have, this mark of the beast, then you're gonna have a noisome and grievous sore, right? Noisome, let's get this word, right? It says of bad nature, um, wicked, injurious, uh, destructive, baneful. I think it says pernicious, you know, bad, evil, harm, ill, noisome, wicked, right? So it's going to be a bad and what? And grievous, right? So what does this say? It's the word porneros. Sorry, Salaki if I didn't pronounce that correctly, right? But it says what? Full of labors, annoyances, hardships. Number 2, bad, of a bad nature or condition, right? In this case, right, through this context, right, it says in the physical sense, diseased or blind, right? So, again, we know this is one of the prophecies, right? This is one of the judgments, right? This death and disaster, you know. So we'll continue on. We'll read a little bit of it. Right, it says the United States formally withdrew from the World Health Organization on Thursday, making good on an executive order that President Trump issued on his first day in office, pledging to leave the international organization that coordinates global responses to public health threats. While the United States is walking away from the organization, a senior official with the Department of Health and Human Services told reporters on Thursday that the Trump administration was considering some type of narrow, limited engagement with the World Health Organization, global networks that track infectious diseases, including influenza. And of course, you can go and read through it, right? But through the spirit, like I said, it's not huge news, but yet just another way to show that America just has pride, right? I was doing, I went to ChatGPT, just to see what it was going to say, right? And I asked it, I said, did the U.S. leave the World Health Organization, right? So again, it says yes, as of January 22nd, 2026, the United States has formally withdrawn from the World Health Organization. Let's see. Continuing on, right? It asks me, it said, if you want, I can summarize the major arguments for and against this decision from experts and what it could mean for global and U.S. health security, right? So I said, sure, I don't know why it's tweaking like that. So let's see. And really, I just want the against it, honestly. So number 1, for arguments against it, it says weakening global health security. Right. Number 2, it says reduced influence and leadership. Number 3, it says financial and humanitarian consequences. Number 4, it says impact on multilateral cooperation. Right. And then as I continued on, right, I saw this part, right? It said the bottom line. It said the U.S. departure from the WHO, which is again the World's Health Organization. It says reflects a broader shift toward prioritizing what? National control over global cooperation and public health policy, but it has raised serious concerns among health experts and international partners about preparedness for future pandemics, the U.S.'s access to global health data, and long-term strength of international health systems, right? And I asked it what does it mean by national control, but quite honestly, I don't care what they think you know, because we know that, you know, the U.S. wants full control, right? They want to be in control of everything. That's why, you know, as you read in, I think it's the next one, it's chapter 17 of Revelation, in the book of Revelation, right? What? Revelation 17:1 says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So she as in America, sits upon many waters. She thinks herself to be greater, right? To be better than all the nations, right? She, you know, that she holds herself to a high esteem, right? That's that pride, right? So this is the book of Obadiah, in verse 3, right? It says, the pride of thine heart. Well, let me start from the top, honestly, because again, you need to understand this is all talking about Esau Edom, right? This is all prophesied for Esau Edom, right? They have to be destroyed. So verse 1, Obadiah, right? It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. So all of these things, as you read through Obadiah, is concerning Esau Edom, right? It says, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, that thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? So that's that pride, right? And again, when we're talking about Esau Edom, let's look up the land of Edom. You know, those clefts of the rock. You know, I mean, this is who they are. Esau, right? He's so-called white man, right? Let's see. This is purely out of my curiosity. I've never looked this up. Okay, that was purely from my out of curiosity what would come up, right? But again, you know, just again, we're referring to Esau Edom. You know, we know that this is the so-called white man. You know, I mean, that right there tells you Edom means red, and we know, you know, through just walking around on the earth, who are the red people. I mean, it's clear. Let me see. They're gonna pull up some images. I mean, there you go. Of course, they have Jacob looking just like him. But if you don't know by now who Esau Edom is, you're far behind. It's like it. But again, proving that, you know, again, this pride, right? It's all talking about Esau Edom, which is America, right? Babylon. This is Obadiah 1:4, right? The next verse it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord, right? Exalt thyself as the eagle. Who does that? Who does that? Who in modern day loves the eagle, right? Let's see. I mean, let's do like this. Get a clear picture. You see that? They love the eagle, you know? They love the eagle. It's on the supporter, right? They exalt themselves as the eagle. The nations can't help but be who Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said that they are, right? I mean, it's the bald eagle. We all know this, right? We all know it's the bald eagle. This is them. And I mean, they can say this, right? It isn't the actual national bird, but I mean, just look. I mean, they can't. The nations can't help but be themselves, right? When you think about Russia, right? Russia being known as what? The bear, right? I mean, the nations can't help but be themselves, right? When you think of who else? Great Britain being the lion, right? Let's see. Great Britain. I don't know if they call it their. Look, the lion. They can't help but be who Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said that they are. You know? And maybe I should go prove that right quick. That's in the scriptures. I think it's Revelation 20. Is that not the one I'm talking about? It's not Revelation 20. Which one is it? Let's go to Daniel 7. I think this is what I want. Yeah. So the first was like a lion. You know, you got the bear, leopard. You know, and that's really a breakdown for another day. Lord willing, you know, I'll go into that. No, Salakia. Revelation 13 is what I wanted. So yeah, here you see here in verse 2, right? The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority, right? So this leopard is pursuant to who? The Greeks, right? You got Alexander the Greek, right? And then you got, and I'll go into that a little bit. I'll touch on it a little bit. Then the feet was the feet of a bear. Bear likened unto Russia. Why? Because Russia is going to be the country that that aids the downfall of this place, right? Like you said, and his mouth has the mouth of a lion, right? Again, this lion is referring to who? Great Britain, right? And then the dragon, that dragon is talking about who? The Roman Empire, right? But like I said, let's see. And I'm really just doing this just to show you that the nations can't help but be who they are, right? Again, all proven, just going back to proving the point that, you know, it's speaking of America in Esau, Edom, in the book of Obadiah. Let's see. See? This is Alexander the Greek, or the Great, or whatever you want to call him, right? He has a leopard's hide, right? Yeah, that's a fictional image, but you get the point, right? They can't help but be who they are, right? I'm sorry if I kind of veered off a little bit from the point, but again, going back to Obadiah, right? That pride, right? They have a lot of pride, right? They think themselves to be on top of everything. They think they can handle everything themselves, right? They want to get away from all the other nations, and right, when you got the thing going into the thing with Greenland, right? NATO NATO told them, right, what? They're gonna have to do something about that, right? If Trump decides to go into Greenland and take over that land, then basically that severs ties with NATO, right? And their so-called allies, right? But we know, again, through prophecy, this is all a part of the destruction of America, right? Because what's going to happen, right? Going back to Revelation 17, right? I already told you that the great horse sitteth upon many waters, and I really should have told you what those many waters are in Revelation 17:1, right? And it's going to tell you if you go down. Revelation 17:15, right? It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, right? So he's, Babylon sitteth on top of all the nations, right? But verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For the Most High put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled, right? So, even the so-called allies are going to hate America. They're going to come against America. Why? Because America claims to be the greatest country on earth, right? And let's see. Let me ask chat. Matter of fact, yeah, let me ask chat. Let's see. Does America lead in any statistical let's see which ones it might be. Of course, military spending. Let's see where in education. Seventh, 16th, 34th, 6th, 12th, 28th. So they think themselves to be, like I said, better. Right. So I'll read a little bit more of this. It says withdrawing, and this is from the White House, gov.gov, right? It says withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. Section 1 says purpose. The United States noticed its withdrawal from the World Health Organization in 2020 due to the organization's mishandling of the C-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises. I think I'm saying too many S's, but it says its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms and its inability to demonstrate independence from the inappropriate political influence of WHO member states. In addition, the WHO members continues to demand unfairly onerous payments from the United States blah blah blah. So that's what they say, right? And they could be a part of it, but at the end of the day, we know it's all through the pride of Babylon, right? They just think that they're better. Why did there was a quote that he had that I wanted to read. Because he says something to the effect that they can do all of the research themselves. But I don't remember where I saw that. It might have been on my phone. So bear with me for a second while I try to look for it. I can't find it, but it's neither here nor there. I think the point's really been proven. Again, the whole point of the video was just to give an update on things going on in the world, and just to show this is all a part of ultimately Yahweh Shemiah Shai's plan, but the pride of Esau, right? But Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to end by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the fully elect.